This is an honest review of my experience showing homes as a Redfin Associate Agent. If you're new here, I've been showing homes for Redfin for just under a year now, long enough to experience the highs and the lows of this role. So if you're looking to get your real estate license or considering the Redfin Associate Agent position, this video will definitely give you the information that you need to help make the best decision. So let's talk pros. The best pro by far, in my opinion, is the pay. It has really great pay. You get paid per event, unlike a typical agent where maybe you're off of commission and so you have to find clients and hope that they make offers and that the offers go through and then you get paid. So there's a lot of inconsistency and uncertainty there versus when you're associate agent, every time you get a tour, you know, as long as you show up and the buyer shows up, you conduct the tour, you're gonna get paid bi-weekly. So it's really, really great for people who are in college like I am, in school, or maybe they're looking for part-time work or a side hustle that they're doing on top of a full-time W-2 job. I average about $40 to $70 per hour across all the work that I've done for Redfin, which is honestly super great coming from a $15 per hour job working at Target, doing something that wasn't fun and I really wasn't passionate about. Now, as far as what a typical week looks like for me, it definitely varies, but I'd say I average 10 to 15 hours per week and about $500. I've had weeks where I've made $1,000 working that amount of time and weeks where I've worked a little less, didn't get as much tours and made about $300. Speaking of schedule, another pro is that it's super flexible. So you're what's called an independent contractor, meaning that you don't actually work for Redfin, you are being hired out to show homes. There's a few things with that. One, they can't tell you technically how to dress. They can't tell you exactly what to say. They're not going to necessarily check in on you. That also means that you get to give them your schedule. You have an app. You go in there and you can modify it at any time. You can modify it super far out. You can modify it the day of. You know, today is Wednesday and I can say, hey, actually, I want to work tonight, or actually, never mind, I don't. As long as I don't have a tour on my schedule, I can change it at any moment, which is super cool. I can also go take 2 weeks off to go on a cruise or a vacation or whatever, and I don't have to get permission or anything because, well, I don't work for Redfin. So if you're looking for a flexible schedule that you can do on top of a job, school, or just a busy life in general, this is definitely the right move for you. Now, there's also some hidden benefits when it comes to the Redfin associate role that I definitely want to talk about. First and foremost is the relationships that you build. You're going to be talking with people constantly. That's your job. It's to communicate with sellers, communicate with buyers. You're going to communicate with listing agents and Redfin buying agents and all sorts of people. And so you're going to build up this network, you know, through the people that you text and call that you can reach out to, that you can check in on, that, you know, maybe you can learn from. For example, I tour with some investors sometimes and they teach me what they look for so that if I want to invest in the future, I have more knowledge going into it. So this is a really cool way to build your network while you're getting paid. And on top of that, you're also going to get to know the real estate market. Now, I've been here in Texas for 12 years and I thought I knew my market pretty well. But I have come across so many cities, neighborhoods, and areas that I honestly felt lost in and I didn't know, you know, what homes were worth or anything. And now, after about a year, I feel like I know the whole DFW market like super good. I can tell you what homes go for. I can basically navigate anywhere without even using my GPS. That's just one of the perks, in my opinion, of doing Redfin associate role. Now, one final pro before we move on to the cons is that literally anyone can do this. I thought that I would have to be super knowledgeable of real estate and have all the answers and just have a certain level of knowledge and experience to be good at this. And what I realized was, in order to show homes, all you have to do is be okay with talking to people. If you can show up, let someone in and just walk around the house with them, talk with them, take notes of what they like and what they don't like, and look on the Redfin app, like you would go looking at Zillow or Realtor online, and just tell them information that frankly they already have access to. That is the entirety of your job. So I'm telling you that as long as you're okay with talking to people, literally anyone can do this. And that's why I definitely recommend the Redfin Associate Agent role to anyone who has a real estate license or is thinking about finding a side hustle that is flexible and high pay, you should definitely check out Redfin's website, which I'll link down below. And if you're looking for a course provider to get your real estate license, you can do it in 30 days or less. It doesn't have to be too expensive or time consuming. I made it a video where I actually showed you how to do that. I'll also link down to that in the description with the course provider as well. Okay, so here's the downside to being an associate agent. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that everything about being an associate agent is perfect, because that just wouldn't be the truth. The biggest one that comes to mind is that there is inconsistency of work, thus there's gonna be inconsistency of pay. You can leave your schedule wide open, and if there's not a lot of tours, because maybe interest rates are up or there's not a lot of houses for sale, kind of like right now, especially in those winter months, you may not be making as much money. You may have a lot of weeks where you're making $200-$300. You're not spending a lot of time, so it's still, worth your time, but it's not going to be as scalable as maybe you thought it was going to be when you signed on. Now, because of that, you're going to want to leave your schedule open as much as possible. But because you're not guaranteed tours, you also have to keep your personal life very flexible as well. So on the weekends, let's say it's a Saturday, I know that that's my money-making day, I gotta leave the whole day open, but maybe I wanna do something with my friends or my family, so I'm gonna have to tell them, hey, let's plan on 5, but if I get a tour, I'm not gonna make it. And it may be 4 o'clock and I get a 5:30 tour, and last minute I have to tell them, hey, never mind. I can't make any plans set in stone unless I'm blocking off my calendar. So I may block off all of Monday nights and skip doing something with my friends or my family and then not even get a tour. So that sucks, but what also sucks is the constant changes that are gonna happen. It may be 5 o'clock and then all of a sudden your 6 o'clock tour pops up, but then that 6 o'clock tour gets canceled 5 minutes later and you got dressed for nothing. Or maybe all of a sudden 3 more homes have been added onto that tour and now you need to be prepared to be out for another 2 hours. Or maybe some of those homes haven't been booked yet and you have to keep checking your phone to see if they're gonna go through. Or maybe you actually are required to go in and handle the booking for 1 or 2 of those homes. You're gonna have tours that pop up on your schedule and then pop off right away. You'll have a tour that will have been on for 2 days and then last minute it cancels. Things are going to change, so you have to constantly be checking your phone and just making sure you're on top of things, and you have to be okay with constant changes in your schedule. Now, I said that you get paid as long as you show and the buyer shows, but what happens when the buyer doesn't show? I mean, it's not a big deal, but those things do happen, and there may be times where the cancellation pay just isn't enough and you're really, really frustrated. So communicating with the buyers to actually show up to the properties can be frustrating because sometimes they just don't respond. And sometimes they'll wait till 5 minutes before the tour to text me, hey, I'm not coming, or hey, yeah, I'll be there, but I'm 20 minutes late. So communication is often a big struggle with these buyers that you're just gonna have to deal with. You're gonna have to get good at texting and calling and emailing, and also setting up templates within your app that Redfin provides so that it doesn't take too much time to constantly be communicating with all these people. Otherwise, you are seriously gonna be glued to your phone and just frustrated. You can block off, thankfully, certain areas of your area if you don't want to go into them, but sometimes you're just going to end up in homes that you don't want to be in, or with buyers that you don't want to be in. Sometimes the buyers are rude, it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes they don't speak your language and you have no idea what they're saying and you're just kind of awkwardly there. And sometimes they hold you hostage, so you have to learn how to take command, be firm with them and actually lead them through the tour, otherwise you may get taken advantage of. When the showing's over, one thing that I don't like is that I actually don't know if the buyer makes an offer and I don't know if the buyer's offer goes through. So I don't really get to hear back from clients saying, hey, the house you showed me, I actually got the house, I live in it now. Like, I don't get that rewarding aspect of real estate. It's something that I always wonder, like, I wonder if that person got a home. I haven't toured with them in a while. That's just part of, the game, but it is something that I wish was different. Now, I've talked about this in other videos, but a big con of being a real estate agent for Redfin is that you do a lot of driving. And when I say a lot, I mean on Saturdays and Sundays, I may drive 5 or 6 hours. Seriously, when I tell you that I spend way more time driving than I do actually giving the tours, yeah, that's how I make my money. I get paid to drive and look at cool homes. And, that's how I sell it to people because it's honestly pretty great. But if you don't like driving, if you don't have a reliable car, if you don't want to deal with that, then this is not for you. If you're okay with driving 1, 2, 3 hours on the weeknights and then driving several hours on the weekends, then great. I do spend a fair amount of time in between tours. It's not going to be perfectly scheduled so that you go from tour to tour to tour. That happens sometimes and that's great, but it's not necessarily the norm. And for me, I kind of live off the beaten path. I live in a very big metroplex, but I'm on the border of it. But if I was in the middle of it, then that'd be great because I could just go to a tour, stop back at home, tour, stop back at home, tour, stop back at home. But in my case, if I were to drive out to a tour and then drive all the way back just to turn around and leave again, it wouldn't make sense for my time and my gas. I got a membership for like $10 a month at Panera. I just hang out there and then I work on stuff that I need to do. So if you have a full-time job that you can do some remote work, or in my case, you have some side hustles, you have some schoolwork, then that can be a great synergy to make money while you make money. But if you're just sitting around, then you're going to really seriously eat into the profits that you're making. And you may find out that it's actually not worth your time and you're not making as much money as you thought you were. Another thing that will eat into your profits is the set expenses. I've talked about this in previous videos as well. You're gonna have MLS fees that you have to pay, realtor fees, super fees so you can enter the homes, and a whole list of items that you are gonna have to pay. It's about $1,500 per year. Not too bad when you can make really great money off of it. But if you're only working enough to make $2,000, then you're actually only making $500, and I'm telling you, that's not worth your time at all. So we've talked about the pros, we've talked about the cons, but how do I actually know if this is right for me? Well, I think you really just need to see it for yourself. So follow along with me as I take you through the day in the life of a Redfin Associate Agent by clicking on this video right here.